What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be delving deep into the latest events in the 7 Deadly Sins story, including what might be a clear setup for a 7 Deadly Sins sequel or spin-off. I'm sure that most of you have heard the rumor by now. Multiple news outlets are claiming that the 7 Deadly Sins manga will be ending its run in just 3 to 4 chapters. But as anyone who reads the manga can tell you, that is not even close to enough chapters for a satisfying ending. However, in chapter 343, we got what looks like a clear setup for a possible 7 Deadly Sins sequel or spin-off featuring the King of Chaos, Arthur, but also featuring the remaining members of the 7 Deadly Sins in a supporting role. So let's talk about all the latest events in the story and the potential sequel right now. If you enjoyed the 7 Deadly Sins content on this channel and you want us to keep it going, please leave a like to let me know. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar or you just haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications. A big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons who make videos like this one possible. I will talk more about Patreon at the end of the video, but first, please be aware that this video will contain 7 Deadly Sins manga spoilers. As I said, we're talking about the latest events in the story, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. The name of chapter 343 is An Everlasting Kingdom, and this chapter reveals a lot about Arthur and his ultimate goal. It also provides some intriguing clues about where the story could be going from here. As the chapter gets going, the Sins and Arthur are still facing off against Cath, Palug. And actually, Cath mocks Arthur for saying that he has figured out a way to defeat him. As you'll recall, back in the previous chapter, Arthur seemed to have had a eureka moment where he apparently came up with a way to defeat Cath. And half jokingly, in that video I said that Arthur might be planning to have some Cath casserole. Basically, I said that instead of Cath eating Arthur, Arthur could just eat Cath. This would allow him to defeat the monster and get the stolen fragment of chaos back inside of him at the same time. And it turns out that this is exactly what Arthur actually had in mind. As Cath attacks yet again, attempting to consume Arthur and everyone else in sight, Arthur turns the tables on the monster. Arthur uses the power of chaos to turn everything around them into a giant mouth with endless fangs. And as the fangs descend upon Cath, Cath tries his best to resist. Cath declares that as a direct descendant of chaos, he is the only one fit to wield chaos power, not Arthur. In the past, we were told that all the creatures from Purgatory were created by the Mother of Chaos. So technically, that does make Cath Palug a descendant of Chaos, since Cath is a creature from Purgatory. But here's the interesting thing, Hawk and his brother Wild are also creatures from Purgatory. So by that logic, Hawk himself is also a direct descendant of Chaos. I wonder if this will come into play at some point in the future. Knowing what we know now about the power of Chaos, Hawk might really have the potential to become a lot stronger than we could have imagined. By the end of the story, Hawk's strength may become more than just a meme. As Cath Palug struggles to push back Arthur's attack, Arthur asks the beast to tell him what he hopes to accomplish with the power of chaos. If you were expecting some deep philosophical answer, sorry to tell you that Cath answers by saying that he just wants to destroy everything with a form. He just wants to destroy everything in the world. Not a very compelling villain motivation, but I guess you have to respect the insane, narrow-minded focus that Cath seems to have. As a villain, Cath doesn't have a tragic past, he doesn't have a master plan, he doesn't have a deep philosophy, he just wants to break stuff. Merlin says that Cath appears to be a cluster of destructive will wrought by chaos. And this brief statement by Merlin made me think of something. Is it possible that chaos power, or the will of chaos, actually split itself into different creatures of Purgatory? So then Cath represents the destructive will of chaos, and other creatures of Purgatory like Hawk represent something else, some other aspect of chaos. Perhaps there is more to the backstory of Hawk, Hawk's brother Wild, and Hawk's mama. A backstory that is directly connected to the power of chaos and that is yet to be fully revealed. After giving his reply, Cath fires back at Arthur, asking him what he wants to use chaos power for. Did Arthur actually learn his lesson about the inevitably fleeting nature of all things? Or is he going to keep trying to build another kingdom, even though that kingdom will also be destined to eventually crumble and fall like all kingdoms do? Arthur reveals that he isn't concerned about being acknowledged as a great leader by others or being loved as a king. His goal is simply for everyone to live happily. The message that Arthur wants to get across is this: it doesn't matter what others think of you, but what you think of others. This is actually a pretty profound piece of philosophy right here. So many of us spend way too much time worrying about what others think of us. Do other people like us? Do they hate us? Do they talk behind our backs? And so on. Most of the time, we have no control over what other people think of us. And yet, we allow ourselves to get stressed out about these things anyway. But what's the point of being stressed out and upset about something over which you have no control? No amount of stressing out is going to change anything, so why bother concerning yourself with the opinions of other people? The one thing that you can control is how you think of others. Are you being too judgmental of other people? Are you talking about other people behind their back? Are you being rude, harsh, or critical towards others for no good reason? This is the part that you can control, and figuring this out is the key to happiness. You shouldn't worry about the things that you cannot control. Don't worry about how other people act or what they think of you. That is up to them, not you. What you can control is how you act towards other people and how you interact with them. You can choose to be a good person and live a happy life by focusing on those things that are within your control and by ignoring those things that are out of your control. Again, I really like this philosophy. I love this approach, and I just wanted to talk about it a bit here. Arthur then declares that he wants to establish a land where nobody suffers and nobody grieves. A safe land where nobody will feel terrified of anything. He vows to create this everlasting kingdom. Cath mocks this idea, repeating yet again that nothing is everlasting in this world. Nothing except for chaos. But in that moment, Cath seems to realize what Arthur is getting at, and Meliodas and Merlin seem to realize it as well. Chaos is indeed the only everlasting thing in this world, and Arthur is the king of chaos. In the next moment, Cath is sucked into the giant mouth in the sky and absorbed into Arthur. The world suddenly returns to normal, and the Sins and Elizabeth realize that Cath is gone and the full power of chaos has been returned to Arthur. Excalibur is stable once again and under Arthur's complete control. Meliodas and the Sins decide to support Arthur in his goal. They tell him to go for it, to try and create the everlasting kingdom that he had talked about. The 7 deadly sins vow to stand with Arthur and to support him, and even if he makes mistakes, they will be right there with him. And this is how the chapter ends. But I have to say that this final part in particular gave me very clear sequel vibes. First, Arthur announces that he has a very ambitious and borderline impossible goal. And then the Sins encourage him to pursue it, and they promise to be there to support him along the way. It is almost as if a brand new journey is just beginning. A journey featuring Arthur as the main character, but still keeping the Sins there in a supporting role. Over the last few years, there has been a lot of talk about a potential sequel or spin-off featuring Arthur as the protagonist. But most fans of the 7 Deadly Sins love the Sins themselves a lot more than Arthur, so many people were critical of this idea. However, if there is an Arthur sequel in which the original Sins still play a prominent supporting role, I bet most 7 Deadly Sins fans will still read it. If the main 7 Deadly Sins series ends and the Arthur sequel is the only place where we can find Meliodas, Bond, Merlin, and all our favorites, you better believe that I will be reading it, even though I certainly don't think that Arthur is as great a protagonist as, say, Meliodas, Bond, or Escanor. It is important to remember that the 7 Deadly Sins manga has consistently been one of the top 10 selling manga in Japan. And the franchise, including the manga, anime, and video games, has made a ton of money. While it is possible that the entire series could really end for good, if that happens in the next few chapters, there is no way that we will get a satisfying ending. At the same time, if there is some type of continuation, including a potential sequel featuring Arthur, then a lot more money can still be made from this franchise, and that is why I think that a continuation is definitely possible. In the manga industry, like in pretty much every other industry, money talks. And if the 7 Deadly Sins is extremely profitable, it wouldn't be surprising if the creator and the publisher continue to find new ways to profit from it. The end of chapter 343 definitely seemed like the setup for a new adventure and a potential story continuation to me. And at the very end, after the Sins said that they would stand with Arthur, Arthur states that the Sins are his everlasting goal. This might mean that Arthur simply admires the Sins and their friendship, but it could also mean that Arthur's everlasting goal was to become one of the 7 Deadly Sins. With Escanor gone, rest in peace Big Daddy Sunshine, there is now an open spot for Arthur to become the new 7th Sin. I know that compared to Escanor, Arthur is nowhere near as epic, and there is no way that Arthur can ever fill Escanor's shoes as a character. But I wonder whether Arthur could potentially join the Sins as an official member, and that can be the starting point for a brand new continuation to the story. Please let me know what you guys think. Will Arthur become the new 7th Sin? And will there be some sort of continuation of the 7 Deadly Sins story after this main story finishes its run? And of course, here on the channel, I will continue to follow the 7 Deadly Sins series, and I will keep you posted on whether the series really will end and whether there will be a sequel or a spin-off of any kind. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please leave a like to let me know. And if you're new to AnimeUproar or you just haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. If you don't go through the trouble of clicking the bell and selecting the option that says all, YouTube is gonna bury a lot of our videos. That's just the way it goes. I want to give a big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for supporting our work and making these videos possible. With all the constant problems on YouTube, patron support is more important than ever. Thank you guys so much. First and foremost, a special thank you to our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, Alolanatum, The World, Steelers, The School Bus, Tyson Quirino, A Quiet Respect, and Pate Hefa. And I can't forget our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, Fididala Beat, Alpha Dio, Anatoly Kazatsky, Angel Cruz, Team Sparky 65, Cricket XP, Rohan Kapoor, Jessica Maloney, Emperor Otaku, Timothy E. Vargas, Jean Dark, Joe Stanton, JCC Waka, Very Gucci, and Jessica K. Lafont. If you enjoy our videos and you think that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single $1 will give you access to our patron-exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.